Hello, everyone. So I am here with the wonderful Teresa. So could we start? Would you just introduce yourself, say a bit about who you are, what you do, tell us a bit about yourself?
Nice. Hello, everybody. My name is Teresa. My artist name is TERE. And I'm a queer female singer-songwriter, mainly a rock artist, inspired by Joan Jett, Hayley Williams, Olivia Rodrigo, a bit of that. Basically, I'm an independent artist. I just released my debut album called No More Manners. Recently got on my first national tour, which has been really exciting. And it's so fun to be here with you today.
So could you tell me a bit more about your debut album? I would love to hear about it. What inspired it? Who inspired you? And also what was the process like? I don't know anything about making music. So I think it'd be cool to know how you come up with the idea and then how it happens.
Of course. I think I never had in mind fully that I wanted it to be an album. I think it was more of I felt like I needed to get out of my 3 years of uni in Liverpool. Basically, as soon as I turned 18, I went to Liverpool to study songwriting and performance in LIPA. And it felt like a really big change. And during the 3 years, I wrote so many songs. I just felt like I needed to have one project that could summarize that experience. I think I came from a really frustrated point of view of who I was, not just as an artist, but who I was myself. I think I've lived in a pretty conservative background since I was like very young and in the middle of nowhere. So music wasn't really a thing to do. And then as soon as I started on social media and it kind of blew up, I felt like, oh, maybe I can give this a go, like professionally. And it's kind of when I started. And then I think that's why I ended up calling the album No More Manners, because it felt like these 14 songs are the result of letting myself break out those social gender norms or like stereotypical norms, or like that idea that people had about me as like a good girl aesthetic on
Yeah.
Instagram and on TikTok. And I felt like that was my way out. And I don't know, I think in the end I just wanted to make an album that, I don't know, 15 and 16-year-old teenagers like me from the middle of nowhere in Spain could feel heard, even if they were struggling with like their sexual orientation
Yeah.
or the way they perceive like relationships with people. And I think it was really helpful to come up with it because it definitely like made me understand why I went through so much pain and why
Yeah.
these 3 years were so important to me. So it's all those 14 songs were written in Liverpool, and I feel like that's kind of what holds them together. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to fit into any norm of how like an album, for example, has to generally tend like to stay in one gender, like genre. Sorry, this album
Yeah.
has like a bit of funk, a bit of rock, obviously, a bit of pop, but it also has like orchestral ballads. And I don't know, I think I just wanted to have a fun experiment that could just express who I was with no limits. So,
That
yeah.
is so cool. And obviously, so a bit of context for everyone. I know you because you are very, very good friends with my cousin. So
Exactly.
I've known you for a while and you are one of the most incredibly talented people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying
Oh,
that.
come on. Thank you.
And one thing I'd like to ask is, so you spoke briefly about how being a queer artist from Spain influenced you. How do you think that's impacted both your songwriting and also your journey, towards music and towards almost self-acceptance more generally through that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it feels like that as soon as we identify ourselves as queer, we see all the discrimination that comes with it. And I always say that like pride comes from a point of fighting. It never really comes
Yeah.
from a point of pure joy. And like we feel pride because we know there's a fight behind who we are. Like
Yeah.
we know that like pride comes with struggle. And I think that's like why I started to admire so many artists that saw pride as a celebration, like in the
Yeah.
case of Lady Gaga, Chappell Roan. Like I have those references really close to me because it's like oh, pride doesn't just have to be a negative thing that you have to hide. Like, you can actually express this as a form of celebrating diversity,
Yeah.
which I think it's obviously what makes this world as rich as it is. So I definitely think that inspired a lot the way of writing, because it gave me that courage to feel rebellious in my writing and feel
Yeah.
like I could say things that were a bit maybe morally slightly wrong, just because I could allow myself to make mistakes and to celebrate that queerness through the fight that it has, but also the fun that it is to be queer and to experience joy in that way.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely helped me shape the lyricism, and also I feel like the music, because I feel like this album represents female rage really well, which I think that's mainly what I felt after all these years of having to be closeted and having to go through a really conservative and traditionalist relationship with religion. It just felt like I had so much rage inside that I had been keeping to myself, and I think rage is an important emotion we have to let out. So
100%.
every other, and I feel like it's pretty taboo for women to be angry and loud and to scream their lungs out. And I think that's kind of why I admire so much artists such as Joe and Jet. And it's funny how like artists that mainly represent female rage, people assume they are queer. Like, for example, it's true that Joe and Jet has had a girlfriend, or there were rumors that she has, but like, as soon as you see a confident woman, people most of the times assume they are queer, because being queer already embodies this sort of confidence and knowing that we go through a harder time to express ourselves. So it's interesting. But yeah.
You just mentioned briefly about sort of rage and religion, and obviously you know that I was raised Catholic as well, so I feel like that's something that I can very much relate to. Would you mind speaking a bit to that and about, you know, how that's impacted you?
Yeah, of course. I think for me it has always been interesting, because I feel like when you are put into that situation of, like, I think believing in God or in anything you believe is like an important choice of your life. I feel like it's a really big choice to make. And I'm not sure I wasn't ready to make that choice when I was 5 and I was going to church every single day. So I think I just had lots of questions that appeared to be wrong and unanswered by my environment. So it was this sort of thing of like, well, I don't know if I believe, but I know that not knowing apparently is negative in this environment. So I have to be sure. But I never really was. And for me, it was those questions that were left unanswered that made me a bit frustrated, because I was like, well, if nobody answers this for me, or for example, I wanted to go to mass and see women giving the mass, and I was confused about why that was not possible. But I would never get an answer on it, and I always felt like a bit frustrated by the way church was like organized. Which I suppose obviously, as it's an institution made by human beings, is going to be imperfect. But I don't know, I never felt really connected to that. So for me, it was a bit of a hard time with it. But I think, I don't know, my relationship with religion has never been a thing of like, I completely say no to its existence. Because I've seen people that have their lives have completely been changed by it, and like people that didn't have a purpose in life and now they do, and they're completely happy, and I'm happy for them. Like, I feel like that's the whole goal of religion, you know, to give people a purpose. But yeah, for me it was an interesting choice, because I feel that rage came from the point of like, nobody really knows how to answer these questions, so I just don't know if it's that we all have them and we just let them slip, or like there isn't really an answer for them, you know? So I think it comes from that.
That leads very, very nicely on to the next point. So take me back to little you. What was your like early life sort of like, and how do you think that that's affected you as a performer and as a singer? And, you know, obviously you grew up in Spain. And what was that like? It would be really cool to hear about that.
Yeah, of course. Spain has a lovely weather and lovely food, and I think that affects a lot of like people's mindsets. So I do
Yeah.
feel like I've had a really happy childhood, and I used to live in this urbanization with like so many flats, and I remember like we were so many kids hanging out outside in the pool and playing games, and I've I've definitely been really active. I've always been really in constant movement, which I guess
Yeah.
it's like I discovered music and I was like, oh my God, I need to know everything about this. That always happens to me. If I discover a new topic I know nothing about, it's like, I need to deep dive into this until
Yeah.
I, you know? Um, so I feel like, yeah, I was really happy. I've always played football. I think that was one of the things that helped me the most. I feel like I was such an active kid that like having that helped me a lot to like balance all that
Yeah.
energy I had and to let it out in a way. And yeah, I started taking piano lessons when I was like 9 or 10, like pretty early on.
Yeah.
And well, even earlier, maybe I was 7. I don't remember. But as soon as I started playing, I was like, I feel a really special connection with this, and like
Yeah.
I feel like music is such a beautiful language. I think it's a language, and I think
Yeah.
it's so beautiful and unique in its own way, and it has its own details. And as soon as I started, I knew I wanted to do something with it.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was a thing of like, I think it's well mainly how people usually see it is like, oh, music is a hobby, but obviously you're not going to do that professionally. You know, it's like on the side, but you're obviously going to
Yeah.
pursue another career. Um, so I don't know. I just kept taking piano lessons. I went to a music like conservatory school
Yeah.
for a couple of years on piano, and I didn't like it at all. I feel like it was too harsh and too. It was really hard. I feel like
Yeah.
you need to have a sort of personality and a sort of, I don't know. It almost felt like a military, like
Yeah.
kind of
Very
behavior and
structured.
schedule, yeah,
Yeah.
and structure for sure. So I felt a bit frustrated because for me, piano had been such a freeing activity
Yeah.
that suddenly it felt imposed, and I
Yeah.
felt really like I felt really trapped in the instrument I loved for so long. So it was a really hard time, and I remember I stopped playing piano for ages.
Yeah.
I was like, "Mom, sell this. I don't ever want to see it again." Uh, and then yeah, I feel like that was my dark era with music. I was like for 2 years I couldn't even touch an instrument. I also went to singing lessons at school. I couldn't bear going anymore. It was like this weird feeling that like suddenly music had become my enemy in a way. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, and it
How did
wasn't
you end up
until
reconnecting with that?
yeah, it wasn't until COVID that I actually had
Really?
nothing else to do. Yeah. So it was during COVID that I actually had nothing else to do that I started like writing songs, and without knowing how to write any songs. But it was funny because I started writing in English, which I feel like it shows a lot why the album is like it is as well. Obviously because I've been in Liverpool for so long now, and I like English is part of. I feel like it's almost as important to me as Spanish right now.
Yeah.
But I started writing in English, and obviously not knowing what I was doing, and it was thanks of COVID and the fact that I started posting content on TikTok,
Yeah.
because TikTok wasn't really a thing at that time. It was starting to be a thing, but not everyone had it, so there were no many content creators. I feel like that's kind of why I'm in this good position now, because there wasn't as many competition back in the day.
Yeah.
So I just started posting my music, and this random video I did of a mashup, like summer mashup songs, just randomly got like 5 million views.
Oh.
And I remember it was like I gained like 50K followers in a day. It was like something really crazy. And then I was like, well, I'm actually gonna see what happens with this now, because I feel like it was such a beautiful way to reconnect with music, because I
Yeah.
feel like I lost my passion in it, but people made me believe I could do it.
Yeah.
So then it was a really nice back and forth thing. And then yeah, I started posting content till today, which is pretty crazy. It's been 6 years now.
Is that like how? So you literally went from not very many to like 50,000 subscribers. How
Yeah.
did you like deal with that? Because surely that takes a bit of a, adjusting to people commenting about like what you are, what you say, what you do. Did you ever find
Yeah.
that difficult?
It's a pretty big shock at first, because you are used to sharing music with yourself, and suddenly you're
Yeah.
sharing it with a screen that at least 50K people are watching. or up to 5 million even.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that thing of like, oh, is music a closed doors activity anymore, or has it become a public exposition of who I am, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a bit of like, I was a bit confused at first because I was like, I don't know how I can show people my authenticity as an artist when I know everyone's watching. So therefore, how authentic is that, you know? So at first it was confusing. Obviously, I was 15 years old. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. It was a pretty early stages of my life. So I'm grateful that my parents walked me through it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
They were quite worried about it. Also, hate on social media can be horrible. And I feel like in the beginning, it was quite bad. There was lovely people, of course, but as soon as you're starting something that feels new or refreshing, there's always going to be people hating on it. So I feel like
That's what you struggled with then.
Yeah, I think not really. I tried not to care. I'm kind of grateful that it happened that early because now I couldn't care less. But I think like once it hits for the first time is a bit of a shock because you suddenly see all of these people that don't know you at all saying horrible things about you. Like I even got death threats, but just because of singing. Like it was pretty crazy. But I think once you get over that stage and you actually learn to not care, because to be honest, these same people that are hating on your post and are hating on 50 else's, like the problem is not you, the problem is how they decide to spend their time and like what their aspirations are in life. Because I think if you dedicate your life doing that, it's because surely you don't have a purpose yourself, you know? So,
and is that how you dealt with it, by coming to that realization?
Yeah, exactly. And also by coming to the fact that like, well, at the end of the day, I only get one life and this is what makes me happy. So if this makes me happy, why should I care about anyone else's, you know? So yeah, I think it was that. And then once you get past that and you start posting what you feel like you really want to and you start like enjoying it, that's when the fun starts, you know? And right now, for example, I don't post every day as I used to, and I don't know, I don't feel like I need to show everything I'm doing to my followers, but I just know now that the fans who care are already there and I don't have to be convincing them all the time, you know, which is pretty nice.
That is so nice. Yeah, I just love it. I could listen to you speak like all day. You just speak so well. You really, really do.
Thank you.
Something I was really curious about. So obviously you went completely viral on TikTok pretty much overnight. What happened after that? Like, how have you got to the point that you are now?
I always say that it's pretty interesting how once that happens, you get so many offers so quickly.
Wow, really?
Especially back in the day, A&Rs used to use TikTok as their means. Well, it's still kind of like that, but I think now TikTok is so much more overflowed with artists and content that it's harder to spot like the one, you know? But back in the day, I remember like as soon as that happened, I started to get like invitations to these events and I started meeting all these artists I really admired. And I was so young, but I just think people assumed I was 18 or they were where I wasn't. But I was in events that I don't know if I had to be in. I was like 15, 16, you know, I had no clue about anything. And the industry has a pretty dark side sometimes with like substance abuse or like, you know, that sort of stuff. And I was so young that I had no clue really that was happening. So it was also a realization and a like shock to see all of that, you know, because it is there, unfortunately, for so many artists, which I guess it's a way of coping with how crazy the lifestyle can get.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways, that was interesting. And then it was crazy to see all these offers from all these labels. I remember I was sat with my parents like deciding, well, do you want to stay here and sign or do you want to go to Liverpool and study music? Because obviously it was like none of the labels were actually allowing me to study abroad, which in the first place, it's a bit weird because, I mean, obviously they see you as a product and they can't control the product if it's far away, you know? So it was that thing of like, I remember having the offer of Sony, Warner and Universal at 15, and you're like, this is everything I've wanted for so long, but also, is this what I need right now? You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what made me realize that I wanted to study music, and I wanted to have that foundation for me to know who I was as an artist. Because that's the thing. I think if you sign that young, you don't really know who you are as an artist yet. And so they'll decide for you. And that might not be what you want. And then you might be stuck into this project that doesn't represent you at all. And you just have this contract for 10 years. So you have to go full on with it. So I guess that's what made me say no to all of them and be like, actually, I want to study first. And if you still have, like, if you actually care about signing me, you'll care about when I come back. You know? So yeah, it felt really freeing. At first, I thought I was doing the wrong thing. But then I definitely
was that quite a hard
felt
decision?
it was because it's also when you're so young, you're so easily convinced that that's what you need. And when I went into these meetings, thankfully with my lawyer and my parents, obviously, but when I went into all these meetings, I heard them saying these massive things that could happen to me. And it's pretty attractive for kids to hear that you can fill up a stadium in 5 years if you sign with them. You know, it's pretty like, obviously it's pretty...
It's a dream, isn't it?
It's a pretty attractive offer for someone young, which I think that's why they usually go for younger profiles as well. But I'm really grateful that I didn't, because I think it's not what I would have needed back then. Right now, I'm so ready for the big stages. I'm so ready for for my project to go big. But back then, I wasn't. I had no clue what I was doing. So I think every day I woke up in Liverpool, I was like, yep, this was the right decision. And it feels so fulfilling to know that. And I was so grateful my parents were there. I was so grateful my lawyer was there. She's always been there. And I trust her more than anything. And now everything's going great. Finally found the people around that I want to work with, and it just feels good. So I'm just focused on trying to expand my project surrounded by the right people, rather than just getting to a goal which might not necessarily make me happy, you know.
And when you're first starting out, like as a young artist, is it hard to get sort of objective advice and advice that you know is like genuine and in your best interest? How was it your parents that really helped with that?
Yeah, because obviously the advice that a label's going to tell you is what's beneficial for their side of the story. But I kind of, obviously, it's not, we don't have to make all of them evil. Like, I know they have their objectives as I have mine. Like, they have what they want out from me, but I have what I want out of them. So it's obviously like a double-way transaction. But yeah, it was mainly my parents that I trusted the most. My lawyer, obviously, and my friends kind of, but it's also harder for people who doesn't do music, because I think if you hear like a friend of yours received a record deal, that's just like, oh my God, you have to take it, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so I think it was my parents mainly, and kind of my inner like gut feeling. I feel like I felt like there was something wrong with signing that as well, you know? So I was grateful I wasn't. And I also think if I ever sign, which I don't know yet, I kind of want to, now that I know what my project is and now that I know where it can go, I'd kind of like to offer my conditions first instead of, you know, going to a label. Yeah, exactly. Because I think it's like, that's how it should be. Like, surely you're looking...
You're talent, ultimately, at the end of the day. Like,
so it's like, you're looking to sign me. I'm not looking to sign you, you know? So, yeah.
How do you think, in terms of, like, your identity as an artist, how do you think that going to Liverpool, and also just, like, obviously you were 15 when things first blew up, and now you're not 15, how has that, developed your identity as an artist and changed almost how you approach the music industry itself?
So much. I had no idea who I was, not just as an artist, but as a person. I think, like, if you don't know who you are, you don't know who you are as an artist. That's for sure. Like, knowing who you are as a person goes immediately first. So I needed to study abroad. I needed to be left alone for 3 years and
Yeah.
and sort my shit out. Because I think
Yeah.
I think if you don't have that experience where it's like, well, your parents are not taking care of you anymore. If you don't do this, well, if you don't take the clothes to the laundry, they stay there. So you decide what you do with that. You know, silly things as that. Or if you don't go to your food shop, what are you gonna eat? Like,
Yeah.
it's stuff like that that you take so for granted when you're living with your parents that then you just have to deal with. So I think it's like I had no idea who I was, and I was doing the music that I thought worked on social media, but not necessarily the music that I felt I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't know what the world needed to hear from me. So I was
Yeah.
just a bit like blindfolded, trying to do the right thing, you know? But then getting to Liverpool and just seeing how free everyone else was and how unique personalities
Yeah.
were in the school, I was like, I need to find mine. I can't just
Yeah.
be a copy of everyone else like I've been before, because
Yeah.
that's a safety net, but it's not necessarily what makes you happy and fulfilled. So it was a pretty interesting journey, and I think one of the things that helped me the most, and I always say it and people take it as a joke, but I do think it helped, was cutting my hair.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think my long hair had, for me, so many connotations of doing the right thing or being extremely feminine and extremely pleasing to my family. I think all those connotations were stuck up here. So it was, cutting it short was just such a free, like an act of freedom. Like,
It really suits you, to be fair. Like,
thank
you.
you. Thank you. It just reminded me, like, oh my God, I can just wake up, walk to the hairdresser and cut it off.
Yeah.
Like, I can just choose to do that on my own terms. And it's such a stupid thing, but
It's
it
a
helped
big
me.
thing, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it helped me so much to actually realize the way I looked, and like physicalities are so I don't know how the word is in English, but physicalities can change so much in time. Physicalities aren't
adaptable.
fixed.
Yeah.
Physicalities aren't fixed, and I thought that there was just one beauty standard I had to conform to, because that's what I had been hearing my whole life. And then it was just so freeing and liberating to see, no, there are other types of beauty, and there are other types of presenting yourself. And I felt like I feel much more feminine with short hair, which is, I don't know, it's just the way I see it. And so cutting my hair helped a lot. But also going to a place where there was so much going on musically. I feel like I come from a place where it's just mainly radio suitable pop rock or indie and reggaeton mainly. So I didn't feel represented by the music that was playing in festivals here or the music that I was listening on the radio to. I was just like feeling that there was much more I could explore. And then just getting to Liverpool and going to gigs, and every night there's a complete different vibe going on. Suddenly you see an R&B artist that blends funk with jazz, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? This is like incredible. I think it was that what just made me realize I can be whoever I want. And I think when you come to that conclusion, you try to portray that on stage. So every time I was about to go on a stage, I was like, the only limit is myself. Like, I can actually be whoever I want. And having these role models as, obviously I've already mentioned Lady Gaga, but even Beyonce, how they can just play with their identity, because all identities are performative. The identity I'm putting right now is performative. So is yours. Like, every single
100%.
one. Like, the clothes we choose to wear every day represent that identity we're
You
putting
do it
on.
for different reasons as well. Like,
Exactly.
I'd wear different for this than I would for uni, for example.
Exactly. Everything is an act that we put on. So once you just realize that, it's like, well, I might as well put on an act I feel really proud of on stage. And I might as well play with that gender norms and play with that stereotypical ideas and break them, And I feel like that's kind of what made me want to be this type of artist, to like let out all that rage that I feel,
Yeah.
all those societal norms affect every single one of us, and like trying to make people remember that they should break them too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this is, I'm going off script a little bit here. I hope that's okay. But
Yeah, that's fine.
do you have any like pre-show rituals before you go on stage? Is there anything that
Yeah.
you do?
I have this vocal warm up that I learned in Lipa, and that I have written down in a page. So yeah, it's just a simple like
We see
warm up
it.
and stuff. Wait, I might have it. I think I have it here in my Mac. If I don't have the paper with me, maybe
No,
I
like,
can.
can you do it?
Oh. I mean, well, I can explain it.
Yeah.
I can explain it. Well, I basically start with like basic body like exercises. So it's like a simple yoga routine, just to like
So cool.
just to get the body moving, you know, because you're gonna be jumping on stage. Well, at least in my case, I jump, I scream, I run around, so I kind of need to like
It
be.
must be exhausting, like doing all of that and singing
It's
and
actually
performing.
it's actually really exhausting.
Like,
But
you
it's
must
so
go off stage and just be knackered.
yeah. But once you're on stage, you feel that euphoric like energy. So
Really?
it's incredible. Like if you're really connected to your creative self and to your artist identity, it's like so freeing. That is like you don't feel tired, you know. But yeah, basically I do this warm up. I warm up my vocal cords. I do some intervals with like bubble, like singing and like that stuff. Then I do a bit of belting to warm up, and then I also do a mental warm up, which is
Yeah.
I watched Chapel Roan's performance of My Kink is Karma in Lollapalooza.
You have
have
great
that.
taste.
I watch that performance every single day before I go on stage because it helps me
Really?
so much. Yeah, I watch that video every single day. My band is sick of it because I know exactly all of the words that she says before she's about to perform. But I watch the video and then I look at pictures of my idols and references. I look at pictures of Prince, I look at pictures of Hailey, Lady Gaga, obviously, well, Chapel again. And I remind myself, well, I look also Lisa Coleman and Wendy Melvoin, which are like two instrumentalists from Prince's band, which are incredible. And I just remind to myself that that performance is never going to happen again. So just to be in the moment, because that's all that matters. And also that's what the audience wants to see. Which is obviously I don't do my performances based on what people want to see of me, but like I just remember that that performance won't happen again and that there's no limits to do whatever I
You
want.
feel
So that's kind of
before?
Not at all. Well, it depends.
Really?
It depends, but not at all. For example, I'm a bit nervous for Pride in a
Yeah.
week because that's gonna
Are you
be
performing there?
yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's
gonna
so
be.
cool.
I'm really excited. I'm so excited. That's gonna be a big. That's gonna be a big one. So I'm a bit like nervous about that one, but just because I'm nervous, not because of the amount of people that might show up, but just because what it means to me to play in Pride.
Personally. Yeah.
I feel like this is where I've always dreamed to get, in the sense of like of feeling happy with myself, like being able to perform at a stage that celebrates queerness feels so great and it feels like I've done the personal work I needed to do to feel happy and confident in myself, to stand up there and be like, yeah, like this is what it's all about, you know? So I'm really excited because of what it means. And I am more nervous because I really want to honor my young, scared self, you know?
Yeah.
I really want to make her feel proud of that performance. So that's why I'm nervous, but it's going to be great. I'm excited.
So what's the biggest crowd you've ever performed in front of, like approximately?
So I think it's 2,500 people. That's been the biggest one in a charity festival 5 years ago, and then supporting a Spanish artist in a venue here called La Riviera, which was 2,000. So yeah, those two have been the biggest. But I think Pride might be bigger than that. I don't know. I'm scared.
Do you look at people in the audience? Like when you're on stage, can you actually like see people?
Oh yeah,
act,
you
right?
you can, but I feel like if you're connected to what you're doing, you don't really like. Obviously, you interact with them, but you're interacting with your inner
In
self.
your-
So it's
yeah.
like, I feel like this is why I like to read a lot of books, so like rules of acting and stuff, because I feel like it's so connected. Like performing is acting, obviously, and like to be an artist on stage, you really have to know how to act as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And could you take us very briefly, because I'm sure this is a very complicated question, through your like songwriting process? How do you come up with an idea, and then how does that little idea become a song? Because I just think it's so
Yeah.
cool how you can make
Yeah.
that.
To be honest, for example, I had this creative outburst for the 3 years of Lipa, and I've been so on it all the time. And I honestly think you have to live your life to be able to write about anything. I feel like the more obsessed you get with it, the harder it will, because you won't have anything to say unless you go out there and experience things. So the first thing to me is to experience, and like I journal a lot. So
Really?
yeah. I have my journal.
That is so cool. I really want to start doing that. Do you just
It's
like
great.
literally write things and put things in that mean something?
So I did The Artist Way, which is a book, that helps you like rediscover your creative self. And I do like three sides of morning pages every morning. So I fill 3 pages of my thoughts, whatever they are, every morning. So just by that, you're gonna have so much stuff to work with.
Yeah.
Like, so many things I write on my everyday like thoughts are so useful to then write something. I was talking with Lucy now that like yesterday we were like in the car, and I was explaining her how I was like, oh, it was so cool because I could barely see anything, and your hair was on my face, and it was so wholesome driving back at night. And she was like, that's such a songwriter way of describing what was happening. And I was like, yeah, like, to be honest, I think songwriting like is just focusing on the details of things and like trying to express those details in a different way that hasn't been said before, So I think that's how I see songwriting. And then for me, it's always the concept first. I need to know what I want to say. I need to know what the meaning of what I want to say is. And then that's where the music starts. Because as I said, music is another language. I use first
100%.
English or Spanish, and then I use music as another language to like work around it. So for me, it's like if you want to say, if you say I love you in English, for example, let's say the case, how does that sound in music arrangement wise, So it's that kind of like understanding how
That's so interesting.
music connects to feelings, in that way. So,
And do you write, you write the lyrics, and do you write the music part of it as well?
So I think for me, words automatically sing, and because of the accent of words and the pace of words, like you can say, like I like to read my lyrics out in a sentence as they are, and then try
like
to
a poem
fit.
almost.
Yeah, almost like it, and then try to fit how that sounds in a melody. But obviously, then it all gets a bit more complex with like musical theory and like with music theory and how to like arrange the chords and which chord progressions to use, and where do you want the points of tension and where do you want the release, when do you want the song to be slower to then go back up again, which is like, I think that's the most important bit, to know the dynamic map of the song really well. So songs take time, and I'm like, I usually write parts of songs per day. I don't usually write a whole song in a day, because I think also my ideas change every single day of my life. So like, I don't want to get really married to a full closed song. I feel like it's cool to keep rewriting. But then I'm currently pretty relaxed with it. I'm currently in a period where I'm just trying to live experiences, write things down, but not necessarily get to writing a full song, because I feel like I'm not putting that much pressure on myself yet. I think because I just released the album, I wanna taste that and like be aware that has happened, So I'm right now in a state of just journaling and reading and peace of mind.
Where's the album available for anybody who's watching and wants to listen
Oh yeah.
to it?
So it's available on every streaming platform online. And then I'm selling physical vinyls as well on my webpage.
I will tag both of this in the episode description. You guys should very
She
much
will do
listen.
her
It's amazing.
unboxing. Yeah, so I've got them on my website, which is tereofficial.com,
Yeah.
or it's also on my Instagram and everywhere. So
In bio.
link in bio. But yeah, that's where it is available right now.
And so yeah, I love talking to you. I think you're fantastic.
Thank
To
you.
end the interview, I usually just do a couple of very quick, speedy fire questions.
Let's go.
First one isn't very quick, to be fair, but the rest of them are. The first one, and I suspect this is probably like picking between children, but do you have a song that you've written that is the one that either is your favourite or means the most to you, and for what reason?
Currently, I think for me, it's the song I'm the proudest of is Man, because of the meaning it has behind. I wrote it after a really dark moment of my life, but I think creating that out of the darkness makes something really beautiful, and I'm really proud of that song. And I think it tells my story in the strongest way and fiercest way. So I'm really proud of that one.
Favourite food?
Favorite food? Gazpacho. It's a
What is that?
Spanish. It's a Spanish cold tomato soup with vegetables. That is actually incredible.
You guys have way better food than we do in the UK.
Well, I was not going to say it, but
I mean, you do. I mean, paella, you've got sangria, and then we've got what? Fish and chips.
hey, well, they're not bad either.
Favorite book?
Oh my God. Don't do this to me. It's hard. I'm going to say 1984 by George Orwell.
Taste.
Really
Do you
like it.
read? They've just done a retelling of that called Julia, from Julia's perspective.
Oh, what?
No, yeah, I'll give it to Lucy. Sorry, I'll give it to Lucy when I'm
No.
next. You can give it
Send
to
it over. I'll add it to my...
George Orwell's like people, his like group. They approved it because it's so good.
I'm going to put it on my
You'd
Goodreads
really like
well.
that. It's like a feminist retelling. It's really good.
Because that's the only thing I did feel about the way it was narrated,
Yeah.
that misogynist perspective of it.
That's what I did my A-level coursework on. Weird, and this is a bit of a tangent. I did I did it on 1984 and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is also a really interesting book. If you haven't read it, it's very worth reading.
Which one?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's about
Can you send me those two? Can you send me the titles? Okay.
Yeah. And it's about like a male psychiatric unit in the 50s. And basically, it's very misogynistic, but it's very subtle in how it's misogynistic. So the nurse, who's a female, Nurse Ratched, there's a Netflix show about like Nurse Ratched now, but she's presented as like the real villain of the story. And when you actually read it from a feminist perspective, you're like, are you? I think she's like
Is she indeed? Yeah.
I think that's the case with music as well, is in literature and music, like strong women, like you said earlier. And then,
Exactly. That's why I really try to be inspired by female artists. And well, if I had to say, I think 1984 is just because it has struck me a lot about my way of thinking. But I love Janet Winterson. I would say, for example, Written on the Body or Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit are two amazing books as well. She's a brilliant prose narrative writer, and her brain is so cool.
You ever write a book?
I would love to.
Would you ever release like even like about new songs and stuff? Would you ever do a lyric book with like on Genius where they break it down?
I've thought about doing a poetry book based on this concept of the album, and I did start it, but I feel like it was so much work, and I was so tied to I was so finishing the stuff of the album that then I didn't have time. But it's on the side, and I really want to do it, so I might.
I can't wait to read that. And then the last question sort of is, if you could, sum up yourself in a few words and just like how you're feeling and what you want people to know about you, what would you say? Very hard question, I'm sorry.
No. It's also always so hard to talk about like
Yeah.
the good things about you. We always find it so hard. I would say um, I'm a passion-driven, hardworking person that loves to connect deeply with people and is quite spontaneous and resolutive at the same time.
Yeah. And do you have anything to the fans? Anything you'd like to say?
To the fans. I don't know. I feel like there's so many people that have such a negative relationship with fans, and I don't blame them because some of it can get pretty dangerous and
Yeah.
and scary. But I think in my case, I'm really grateful for the community that has been made, and I think by seeing them, it's like, oh my God, this was my purpose and my goal all along, and seeing that there's people that connect with it, it just means the world. So I'm just grateful for all of you guys. Thanks.
And tell us your album name again, and also tell us where we can next see you live. Right? Pride in Madrid, is that right?
Yes. So my debut album, No More Manners, is out now everywhere, and I'm currently touring with it, playing Pride in Madrid next week. I'm also playing in Guadalajara in Spain as well. I'm playing in Lugo in September, and I'm playing in Granada in October as well. So we're doing a bit of a everywhere in Spain to perform with it. So yeah, really happy about it. And thank you so much for this. This has been so lovely.
It's been so lovely, and I think you're just fantastic, and I can't wait for other people to put this out there. And you're an amazing person, and much love.
So are you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Please send me the book titles.